There's been a lot of talk about Georgia this season. There's been a lot of talk as of late about Georgia because they just lost Brock Bowers. And so the number one question everybody and their mother is asking is, well, can they win 3 in a row without Brock Bowers? My answer is yes. They still can win without Brock Bowers. The question is, how would they do it? What's it going to take? So we'll break that down right now. First things first, make sure you're subscribed right here to the On3 YouTube channel. College football, only college football, the way that you love college football. Nothing extra baked in, no agenda, no additives. We say it a lot on here. No high fructose corn syrup. That's bad for you, so we don't have it here. Make sure you're subscribed. We appreciate y'all in advance for being dialed in. And it's ball and only ball around here. So thanks for locking in with us. The obvious statement for Georgia when it comes to what they have to do to three-peat is you have to have other pass catchers step up. Like Ladd McConkey, we need him to really come into his own now as he's getting more and more healthy. Ra Thomas, transfer from Mississippi State, probably need more from him. Dominique Lovett, transfer from Mizzou, need more from him. Like, the bottom line is you're trying to replace 26% of Carson Beck's passing yards to this point in the season. That's how often they've gone to Brock Bowers. And you should. He's an Avenger. He's a weapon. He's a freak show. Whatever kind of label you want to put on him, like Brock Bowers deserves that. So it makes sense why you would lean on him. But now to this point, you're saying, okay, we got to score points. And it's not just we got to score points for the sake of scoring points. You look at what's ahead of Georgia, and they're going to play some teams that I think could force them to match scores. Now, we'll talk about the defense here in a second, but Ole Miss, just talked about them, scoring 35 a game. Tennessee, scoring 34 a game. You'll be in Knoxville. Missouri, scoring 34 a game. Like, these are some offenses that if you don't bring your spikes that day, if you don't have it revved up and ready to roll, they're going to make it a thing where you may have to play from behind. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that could be a reality, and you would need these pass catchers to step up and be able to match scores. And there's a lot of talk around running the ball for Georgia, especially early in the year. I mean, they're a little bit thin at that position right now. That's why you see them playing a wide receiver at running back every now and then. They've been a team that's trying to throw the football. And they were this way last year. They're this way this year too. I mean, they've thrown the ball 37 times a game with Carson Beck. They're very content to drop back and live with throwing the football. And I don't think that changes without Brock Bowers in the lineup for the sheer fact of I don't think you see as much 12 personnel. And Rusty Mansell and Jake Rowe talked a lot about this at Dogs HQ, and they did a phenomenal job breaking it down. Like, you don't have the personnel at this point that you had last year. You had Brock Bowers, you had Darnell Washington, 2 of the best tight ends in the country. So you could live in 12 personnel and feel as good running the football as you did throwing the football because you got 2 big bodies in there, and it's tough for a defense to match up with that. At this point now, you got Oscar Delp, you got Lawson Lucky. Lawson Lucky is a true freshman. He's going to be a really good player at Georgia here in the near future, but I don't know that you want to ask him to consistently line up there week in and week out and do what Brock Bowers did. Now, Oscar Delp obviously probably taking on more of that Brock Bowers role, but you hear the sentiment I'm getting at here. You want to rely on some more experienced, proven playmakers, and those are the guys that I just mentioned. Ra Thomas, Dominique Lovett, Ladd McConkey, Roseman Jack-Saint. Like, there's a lot of guys that you probably want to talk about here in this light. And, so we'll keep on moving here, but that's very important, obviously, that those pass catchers step up. Now, the good news for Georgia Bulldog fans, this defense now kind of starting to come into its own. There was a lot of talk around what they weren't doing on the line of scrimmage. The last 2 games, that front 7 is allowing less than 3 yards a carry. Vanderbilt's a part of that, obviously. They held them to, I think it was less than 2 yards a carry. And then you played Kentucky, who ran for almost 300 yards the week before against Florida. So this front 7 is starting to really catch their tempo, and that's going to be important for them, obviously, going forward. So you would hope that going forward for Georgia, that can be something you lean on more and more, kind of similar to that 2021 season. You still scored points, but it felt like the defense, and that was a generational defense, so you don't have to do the same thing as that team, but you have to, I think, be able to lean on that side of the ball a little bit more than you have to this point in the year. So, even with Brock Bowers out of the lineup, does anyone question the talent of Georgia against who they have to play, against who they have left on the schedule? Like, is Georgia less talented than a Missouri or an Ole Miss or a Tennessee? Florida's going to be sneaky. Are they less talented than any of those teams? Based on how they've recruited, I would say no. Okay, so what are we questioning? Are we questioning the talent? No, we're not questioning the talent. We're questioning the proven production from Georgia at this point. Hey, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, which is fair. Hey, Brock Bowers meant a lot to that team. He's not in the lineup. Can they replace him? No. Can they replace that production? I think so. And so what it comes down to, when we haven't seen it with our own eyes, why do we trust that Alabama and why do we trust that Georgia and Ohio State are going to be one of the top teams in the country every year, even when they're playing a new quarterback? Well, we trust the organization. Yes, you trust the roster and talent around them, but I think what it comes down to, that's baked into that roster talent, is the organization. Georgia, year in and year out, sets the course for their team, gets their team ready to play as well, if not better than anybody else in the country, with Kirby Smart running the show. Coordinators change. Todd Monken, he's gone. Dan Lanning, he's gone. Dan Lanning was gone a couple years ago. Doesn't matter. They reload. They have a standard internally they stick to. The mission does not change, regardless of who's in uniform or who's on the staff. Georgia continues to find a way to perform at the level they expect to. And I think there also has to be something said now, too. This is more of a thought and more of a question, but for this Georgia team, doesn't it feel like, to this point in the year, that they are a team that needs just a little bit of a sense of urgency to get going? You would obviously hope that by November and by December and January, it's a thing where it's hey, lights are on. We got big-time football to play for. Let's roll. But doesn't it feel like for Georgia, they need a little bit of that chase mentality? Talk about the Auburn game. They're down, end up coming back to win. South Carolina game. They're down, end up coming back to win. You put Kentucky in front of them, but Kentucky had a number next to their name. Georgia goes out, throttles them. I'm curious now for Georgia, if Kirby Smart won't use this ammunition of, hey, your best player's not on the lineup anymore. A lot of people talking about what y'all won't do. Do we think maybe, just maybe, that's the fuel to the fire this Georgia team needs to go on a tear? Because it's not going to be a personnel thing for them. Brock Bowers, as incredible as he is, Georgia still will be the more talented team in every game they'll play, probably until the SEC title game, maybe the college football playoff. And by that spot, you probably have Brock Bowers back if we're being conservative. So, for Georgia, can they still three-peat? I think so. Will they still three-peat? We made this pick last week heading into the week of who we had as our mid-season teams to go and win the college football playoff, be national champs and all that. And I don't change my pick based on what we've seen with Brock Bowers. Still trust Georgia, still trust Kirby Smart, still trust the chef, still trust the ingredients. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a Kirby Smart special, but you can't help but wonder if maybe this is the ammo they needed to get rolling, have that sense of urgency. Hard Count is brought to you today by Game Time. I'll paint you a picture. Big game this weekend in Columbus. Penn State, Ohio State, and you're thinking, maybe I want to go to the game, but maybe not. Saturday morning rolls around, and you're like, I want to go to the game. I've decided. I smelled the crisp fall air. I felt like it's football weather. I got to be there. But it's Saturday. How do I get there? Game Time has got you covered. Game Time is the place for last-minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event, including Saturday morning for Penn State, Ohio State. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets on all of the sports entertainment events. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you, wait for it, 110% of the difference. So, snag tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code HARDCOUNT for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code HARDCOUNT for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of the Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.